The movie starts with a group of army forces heading to deal with a zombie who was far from the city. As they were on the same road, there were two guys who were completely drunk. One of them said that they were heading into Area 51, which has a bit of extra security. The other guy replied, "Man, what are you talking about? That area doesn't have anyone there at all. Stop being so mysterious." He said, "Are you saying I'm drunk? Well, how about I drive the car without looking at it and show you who is really drunk?" As the large army convoy trailing the vehicle transporting the zombie is shown, one of the soldiers goes to check that the cargo is still secure, but just as he gets close, the door suddenly opens. The soldier is initially startled but then tries to steady himself. At that moment, the battalion commander contacts the headquarters, informing them that they need a medical convoy to assist because many people were injured due to the explosion. The headquarters tells him to stay away from the cargo with his men and quickly leave the area. The zombie quickly emerges from the cargo and attacks, devouring the first soldier it encounters. It then charges at the rest of the soldiers with all its might. The soldiers attempt to shoot it, but nothing seems to affect the zombie. When the commander decides to confront the zombie, the soldier with him urges, "Let's go, we need to get out of here quickly." The commander and the soldier flee, running through the desert. They hear the zombies' noises all around them. Those who can keep running do so, while those who stumble try to encourage themselves to escape the area as fast as possible. The two of them stop when they hear the zombie sound, preparing to fire their weapons. But suddenly, the commander pretends to be terrified by the zombie's noise and falls to the ground. The soldier goes to help him up so they can keep moving, but at that moment, the zombie attacks. It grabs the soldier, throws him to the ground, and pries open his mouth until it completely kills him, drinking his blood. The zombie then turns to the commander, bites his neck, and kills him as well. Afterward, the zombie stands, looking toward the city ahead, clearly planning its next move. But then, both the commander and the soldier have turned into zombies themselves. They rise and stand behind the original zombie that attacked them, ready to follow in its footsteps. Las Vegas, which is in a state of total destruction due to a zombie invasion. The zombies are attacking everyone in the city, plunging it into absolute terror. The mastermind behind all this chaos is the large zombie, who gathered his forces and led them to the city. The situation in the city becomes so chaotic that no one knows who is on whose side, and anyone bitten by a zombie instantly turns into one. People are desperately trying to escape as fast as they can, hoping to avoid the same fate. The story then shifts to a group of survivors who band together to fight the zombies and rescue people. One of the women in the group saves a little girl from a zombie and starts shooting at the zombies to take them out. But the sheer number of zombies is overwhelming. The same woman teams up with another man to rescue people trapped in their cars, surrounded by zombies. The man pulls out a chainsaw, using it to cut through the cars and slice the zombies attacking them. Meanwhile, the woman tries to open the cars to free the people inside, but when she sees that two of them have been bitten and turned into zombies, she shoots them. A man named Scott is also part of this group. One of the group members saves a woman from the zombies, fighting off the zombies attacking him and helping her. The woman on his team tells him to cover his head and then uses an automatic rifle to shoot down the zombies. Meanwhile, another member of the group searches for her daughter and eventually finds her hiding behind a satellite dish. She is overjoyed to see her daughter again. A soldier tries to escape from the zombies by climbing onto a military vehicle, but he is unable to do anything, and the zombies swarm over the vehicle, attacking him. After this, military aircraft arrive and drop a series of bombs on the zombies, killing them all. Meanwhile, as Scott and his team are running from the zombies, they manage to calm down the situation on the other side. The zombies attack the woman and her daughter. Scott is unable to do anything about the zombies, and at that moment, the military personnel seal off the area with the cargo that was on the boats, trapping the zombies inside. Scott is now working in a restaurant after leaving his job in the military. At that time, a man named Hunter Bly arrives and requests to meet Scott. Scott is surprised that Hunter Bly wants to see him. During their meeting, Hunter Bly expresses his astonishment that someone like Scott, who managed to rescue the Minister of Defense from the zombies and received the Freedom Medal from the President, is now working in a hamburger restaurant. Scott tells Hunter Bly that he is aware of everything but prefers his current situation. Hunter Bly then reveals that there is $200 million in a safe under the street in Las Vegas, paid by an insurance company to him, and the money is tax-free. He explains that there are only 96 hours left to retrieve it and offers him to get $200 million. Hunter Bly asks Scott to gather his team before the area is bombed, promising him $50 million to divide among his team members. He insists that Scott must decide after thinking it over and gives him a map showing the location of the money. Later, Scott hears on the television a conversation between a woman and a news anchor. The woman tells the anchor that the government has set up a refugee camp to confine political figures whom they don't want on the streets. She also mentions that the nuclear bombs have been tested in the desert, but it's uncertain whether they will have any effect on the zombies. The refugee camp, where people are being relocated to another place called Baristo. The military instructs everyone to bring their health cards to show to the officials at the buses. The buses will depart every 15 minutes. A girl named Gita is talking to her sister Kate, asking her to take care of her 2 children and ensure they reach Baristo safely if anything happens to her. Gita wants to steal the money from a person who is helping people escape from the refugee camp. Gita tells her sister that this money is the only way she can provide for her children. However, Kate doesn't want her to do anything risky, but Gita insists on going through with it. They are overheard by a security guard who wants to understand what is happening. Kate responds, "What's it to you? We are just 2 sisters talking." The guard, feeling annoyed, tells Gita to stay quiet while he figures out what Kate wants. When the guard questions Kate, she claims she wasn't saying anything important. The guard decides to check their temperatures with a thermal device to ensure they aren't infected, placing it on Gita's head and confirming she isn't infected. He then checks Kate's temperature, telling her she isn't infected, but warns her that her temperature has dropped slightly. After the guard leaves, Gita scolds Kate, accusing her of jeopardizing their safety by revealing her lowered temperature, which could have led to serious consequences. Kate explains that the guard was being silly and advises Gita not to do anything foolish that could endanger their lives and the lives of her children. Gita agrees to be cautious and not to take any risky actions. Scott is standing and crying as he watches his wife, now a zombie, and is unable to believe that he has to kill her with his own hands. He is utterly devastated. His wife is knocking on their daughter's door, trying to bite her. Scott then goes to his wife, strangles her, and stabs her in the head with a knife. Scott wakes up to realize that it was just a dream. In reality, his wife turned into a zombie, but he didn't kill her, and he doesn't know what happened to her. Scott then calls Hunter Bly and informs him that he won't accept the mission as it stands, but will let him know what he needs to complete it. Scott says he needs a pilot and an expert in safe cracking. Hunter Bly responds by giving Scott an address where he should be tomorrow at 4 p.m. He then tells his men that Scott has agreed to take on the mission. Scott goes to assemble his team, starting with his friend Maria, who works as a mechanic. Maria is fixing a car for a woman and tells her that she will have it ready by the time she picks up her kids from school. Scott arrives, and Maria is excited to see him. They discuss the mission over cold drinks, and Maria expresses concern that this mission is too risky compared to their previous ones. Scott asks if this means she doesn't want to join him, but Maria clarifies that she's just warning him that this mission is different. Scott reassures her that they've handled tough missions before, and Maria acknowledges the risk, mentioning that they could die. Scott tells her there's $50 million on the line, and Maria agrees that they will split the money after the mission. Scott adds that if their friend Vanderoe joins, they'll also have to share the money with him. Maria says that's fine. Vanderoe is at the swimming pool, taking care of elderly people. When Scott and Maria approach him about the mission, Vanderoe expresses that since their last mission, he has been reluctant to deal with zombies again. However, seeing that there is money involved, he agrees to join them on the mission. Scott and Maria go to recruit their friends for the mission. They visit a woman named Bride, who works as a pilot. Scott offers her $2 million for the mission, and she agrees immediately without hesitation. Maria asks if she doesn't want to know the risks of the mission, but Bride responds that she doesn't care about the risks as long as there's money involved. She wants to change her life, and $2 million will help her do that. Bride mentions that her role in the mission will likely involve flying. Scott tells Maria that, like before, Bride is only focused on the money and hasn't changed. Afterwards, they go to see a man named Mikey Guzman, who is a YouTuber known for filming himself killing zombies. Maria shows Scott the videos of Mikey, mentioning that he has a reputation online for what he does. They approach Mikey with the mission offer, and he agrees to join them. Scott then decides to visit a man named Dieter, who is skilled at cracking safes. Scott asks Dieter to join the mission, and Dieter agrees to participate. Each member of the team starts preparing their weapons and gear for the mission. Once they're ready, they meet with Hunter Bly, who explains the details of the mission. He informs them that the money they need is inside a casino in the zombie-infested area. Hunter Bly tells them they must leave by 6 a.m. the next day. When one team member learns they are heading into a zombie zone, he decides not to join them and leaves. After he departs, one of Hunter Bly's men says he will accompany them on the mission instead. Scott goes to his daughter, Kate, and asks her to come with him on the mission to help him access the quarantine zone where the money is located. Kate agrees. When Maria sees Kate joining them to help with the mission, Scott explains to her that he brought Kate along because she is the only one who can get them into the quarantine zone. The team boards the bus and heads to the city of Fijata. Upon arrival, they meet a woman named Lily, who is supposed to help them get out of the quarantine zone and take them to the casino. However, suddenly, Kate attacks Lily, accusing her of letting Gita escaping and abandoning her children. Lily asks Scott to include one of her people in the team, and he agrees, adding one of the guards from the camp. Lily explains the mission to him, and he immediately agrees. She then takes them to the area where the zombies are. When they enter, they hear a terrifying sound, so they run and hide, only to find a mutated tiger in front of them. Lily tells them that if anyone makes a sound, the tiger will come and kill them. After a while, the tiger leaves, but Lily suddenly shoots the guard in the leg, ties him up, and offers him to the zombies so they can pass through. After 5 minutes, the zombies arrive and take the guard away. The whole team is in shock, unable to believe what just happened. Lily tells them that all the zombies are gathered in that hotel, and they need to stay away from it. They continue walking and eventually reach a strange area. Lily then instructs everyone to walk separately, each on their own path, to avoid waking the zombies. Chambers is walking among the zombies, trying to avoid touching them to prevent waking them up. However, suddenly, one of the zombies awakens, and she stabs it with a knife. Whenever any zombie starts to wake up, she kills it. But as she continues walking, she accidentally makes a loud noise, causing all the zombies in the place to wake up. Chambers then fights desperately, killing them one after another with her weapon. At that moment, Scott and the rest of the team start shooting at the zombies that have woken up, but the number of zombies is overwhelming. As Chambers tries to eliminate the zombies and goes to open the door to join the team, the man working with Hunter Bly locks her inside to ensure she dies, as he disliked her. When Guzman asks where she is, the man tells him he left her inside. Guzman argues with him, and suddenly, Chambers escapes through a window and lands among the zombies. She struggles to control them, but is ultimately overwhelmed and captured. Guzman attempts to help, but is unable to, so he detonates an explosion, killing Chambers and the zombies. Scott then takes Guzman, and they quickly flee the area before the zombies can reach them. They then move to another location where Dieter finds another map and learns that Hunter Bly had sent several teams to the area, but none of them were able to retrieve the money. Scott then explains to the team each person's tasks for the upcoming period, after realizing that the government will be dropping the nuclear bomb in 8 hours. Lily and the man working with Hunter Bly go to kill 2 zombies, and the man takes the head of one of the zombies he killed. Meanwhile, a zombie is seen with Gita, who was with Kate in the refugee camp. Dieter, Guzman, and Van der Rohe enter the area with the safe and use zombies to help them get through the traps and obstacles set up there. Scott returns to his daughter Kate to make amends for the past. He tells her that he should have killed her mother rather than allowing her to endanger them. Kate apologizes to Scott for not living with him in the past. After finishing their conversation, Scott turns on the casino lights. Meanwhile, Maria and Bree head to the rooftop to search for the plane they can use to escape the area once the mission is completed. The whole team arrives at Dieter's location, who tells them to wait for half an hour until he can open the safe. After a while, Dieter successfully opens the safe, and they find the money. They happily collect it into bags. Maria then tells Scott that she didn't join him just for the money, but because she loves him. At that time, the zombie leader gathers all the transformed zombies with him to kill Scott's team after discovering that they had killed the queen. Then, Scott searches for his daughter, Kate, but can't find her. Suddenly, zombies appear from everywhere, and the team fights them off. Dieter and Van der Rohe kill zombies, and when Dieter sees zombies attacking Van der Rohe, he locks her inside the safe with the money and dies from the zombies himself. Scott runs from the zombies, fighting them off, but Maria is overwhelmed and dies, leaving Scott devastated. Guzman helps Scott escape from the location. As Lily runs from the zombies, she tries to get up with the man working for Hunter Bly, but he locks her out and leaves her with the zombies in the casino. With many zombies in the area, Guzman and Scott fight them off, but Guzman gets bitten. He then sacrifices himself by blowing up the zombies. When Lily and Scott go to the roof to catch the plane, the zombie leader follows them. Lily tells Scott to take off in the plane and leaves her behind. She faces the zombie leader with the queen's head as a threat. When the zombie leader hits her in the chest with a stick, Layla throws the queen's head on the ground, but the zombie leader kills her. At this moment, Kate arrives at the hotel where she might find Gita, and the guard who was with them at the camp has turned into a zombie and is in the same place. Scott arrives at the hotel and tells Bride to wait for him while he goes to find Kate. Kate is searching for Gita and eventually finds her with another person. As they try to leave, a zombie appears and kills the person with Gita. Kate and Gita flee, while Kate's shooting at the zombies. Scott hears the gunfire and reaches Kate just in time, throwing a grenade to cover their escape. He takes Kate and Gita to the roof, but they don't find Bride. Scott initially thinks Bride has left them, but she soon arrives, and they all board the plane. However, the zombie leader manages to follow them and attacks Scott on the plane. Bride tries to push the zombie off but struggles because it's stronger than her. Scott tries to fight the zombie but gets bitten. Bride sees the nuclear bomb heading toward the area with the zombies. Hunter Bly watches the news and sees the bomb being dropped on the area with his money, which frustrates him. Meanwhile, Scott manages to kill the zombie with a headshot, but Bride loses control of the plane, causing it to crash. Kate wakes up, and Scott gives her a large sum of money, telling her to leave and live her life. Suddenly, Scott turns into a zombie, and Kate has to kill him, crying over his death. In the end, Van der Rohe returns with a lot of money and rents a plane for himself. However, he soon realizes he will turn into a zombie due to the bite he received, and he can't believe what is happening. Movie ends.